going to be going through some of the new releases that I really like, and then we're going to go through some new releases that I don't like. So this is a little bit different. These are new releases. I have specific reasons why I don't like them. I'll talk about the ones that I did not like towards the end of the video. There are over 10 watches to talk about. Let's get right into my number one pick. The first watch that we're going to talk about is from the brand Awake. I really love the brand Awake. I love their dials. Lots of details in these watches, and they keep on coming out with really cool special editions. I actually own the Jurassic Park limited edition, and today they have released another new limited edition. This is inspired by the movie Kill Bill by Quentin Tarantino. I am a movie buff. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love most of his movies. Kill Bill, probably not one of my favorite movies of his. However, this is just a really cool watch. It's a Sun Mai dial, so it is one of their typical dials that are made in Vietnam. They are beautiful enamel dials. This one is in Fume Yellow, Kill Bill Yellow, and it has blood splatter on the dial. If you've ever seen Kill Bill, it is a very bloody, pretty gory movie, and blood is actually pretty appropriate for this dial. It also has two katana swords down at the 6 o'clock position. So if you were thinking about that Jurassic Park that had a little claw mark at that position, so they're putting swords at that position for this watch. It makes a lot of sense. These are $2,300. They're limited to 88 pieces. That dial takes 10 hours to make. It is made by hand. They have a beautiful case. They usually put some sort of special strap on these as well. Really cool watches, powered by a La Joux G101. So you're getting a pretty high-end movement in here for a base movement, and overall, these are just fun watches, really good looking. Going with the Kill Bill theme is just a lot of fun. Baltic watches are back with some new stone dials. This has been a very big trend in the watch industry. They came out with stone dials, I think it was about a year and a half ago. They came out with 3 different limited editions for each of the locations of their boutiques. I own the New York dial. That is a green, I believe it is a green jade dial. That was a limited edition. They sold out of those very quickly. However, they have brought the watch back. This time these are non-limited editions. They're coming out with 4 different dials. They get the same case. It is a smaller case on the smaller side, 36 millimeters. It is a combination of stainless steel and grade 5 titanium. You are getting a hand wound movement inside. Now they are using a hand wound Le Joux movement rather than an ETA movement, which is what they were using before. It gets a sapphire crystal, that beautiful Milanese bracelet that is absolutely wonderful. Obviously, you don't even need micro adjust with a bracelet like that because it is very easy to adjust to your wrist. They're coming out with 4 different dials. The dials are a petrosite, which is a multicolored stone. That is $1,750. They're coming out with a pink albite or albite. That is $1,577. Then there is a greenish bloodstone, which is green with some red in it, and that one is $1,577. And then there is one more. It's like a bluish purple stone that they're using. I think it's called Demortite, but I'm not sure of the actual name on that. It is $1,577. These get 50 hours of power reserve, so that's a little bit of a step up from the ETA movement that they were using before. This is the La Joux D100. It looks like a clone of the ETA 7001, so I think that's what they did here. And you also are getting 30 meters of water resistance. These are jewelry-like watches. They are very high quality, really well made. They're definitely not cheap, but they are worth the money. Speaking of not cheap, but a watch that I really do like, it is the new Bremont Terra Nova. This is the one with the Adventurine dial. It's a limited edition that they came out with, I think it was about a week ago. This also gets a frosted 904L stainless steel case that goes along with that dial. It's a flashy watch. This is not a watch that's going to go under the radar because it is kind of flashy with that frosted case, and you are also getting an Adventurine dial, so it does sparkle in the light a lot. but you are getting a jump hour. It's ETA based, which means it's going to be pretty reliable. You get dragging minutes, and then you have a seconds hand, which is not typical for a jump hour watch. I kind of like the fact that they put a second hand on this watch. Like I said, you're getting a 904L stainless steel case. I think these are limited to around 100 pieces, but I'm not entirely sure of that. I will put that information down in the description below. The price on this is a little bit outrageous. It is $10,000. You're not paying $10,000 for 904L stainless steel or aventurine or an ETA movement. You're really just paying for the look of this watch and the fact that it's a limited edition. So with that being said, I'm not sure it's worth all that money, but it is definitely a very unique watch and a very good looking watch. So I think it's really cool. The next watch on this list is from a brand that I have recommended on my channel a number of times. They've only made one watch up until now. It is the brand Grön from the Grönefeld brothers. This was their sort of lower end endeavor that they came out with earlier last year. I think it was actually in the end of 2024, I should say. And they came out with a time only with a center seconds. It had a textured dial. It was a little bit layered. It had a Salida movement inside that they sort of modified a little bit so that the click was a little bit closer to what you would get from a Grönefeld. They make high-end watches, really high-end watches. However, they're trying to do what other brands have done and make a more affordable, more approachable watch. And now they're coming out with a beautiful chronograph that gets a very layered dial. They have put domed sub-registers on this dial. It's in salmon. It has a sunburst pattern. There's a few other colors that are usually used by Grönefeld on a lot of their other watches. So it has that salmon dial, but there's also light blue and orange because they do that in their other more expensive watches. They use those three colors together. So it looks like a Grönefeld when you look at it. They're calling this the moment meter. So I think that's kind of a little cheesy, the name, but other than that, this is a beautiful watch, and it's also getting a really great movement. It is the Lejeune Perret column wheel chronograph. I think it's called the 8000. This is a hand wound version, so I'm not exactly sure what that is called, but it gets a column wheel. It is really beautifully finished. Just a really cool looking chronograph with some really great details. And of course, they're putting the Grönefeld crown on there. I really like these watches. I do want to own the time only version. Then eventually maybe I will own this watch as well. This is $4,000. It is more expensive than their previous models, but if you think about it, this is actually a very affordable watch. I know people are going to jump on me when compared to other brands that are using this movement. This specific movement was used by Carl F. Bucher for many, many years, and they were charging $10,000 for their watches with this movement. And I gotta say, most of those watches did not look as good as this watch. So $4,000 is actually a bargain. Maybe not affordable, but it is definitely a bargain. Well, one of the only new releases that Christopher Ward is releasing this year, and there are very few that I did not feature on my channel, but this is one of them. This is a new Christopher Ward Studio Underdog collaboration, and I am so depressed that I was not able to feature one of these hands-on here on my channel because they are extremely limited. They're actually not doing a ton of fanfare around this. It's a 44mm pocket watch with the Studio Underdog dial on it. So the dial that they're using here is a piece of sapphire. It is fully loomed. It is a degradé dial. It has the power reserve down at the 6 o'clock position. It is just so cool. And they're basing this on the CW001, formerly known as their SH21, their in-house movement. I own a few watches with this movement in it. I absolutely love it because it has 120 hours of power reserve. It's really good looking. I just really love this watch, and I am so depressed, like I said, that I cannot get one of these. They are expensive, but it is going towards a really good cause, the Alliance of British Watch and Clock Makers. So all of the profits for these watches, for these, I think 100 pocket watches, all of that profit will go to the Alliance of British Watch and Clockmakers. And that is going on sale at 3 p.m. GMT, December 11th. You have to be a member of that group. So in order to become a member, all you have to do is go to their website, and I think it's like $50 you can join. The watch, or the pocket watch, will cost $5,000. The next watch that I want to talk about is a Chronofixe. It's one of the more affordable watches on this list, coming in at $480. However, you are getting a lot of watch for your money. Now, Chronofixe, the name Chronofixe is a historic name. They were one of the original producers of the Type 20 alongside brands like Breguet. It is one of the most affordable Type 20s that actually has the name of an original Type 20 producer on the dial. So that is really important. This is getting a Chinese movement inside. It is a peacock, although you are getting a solid case back, which you could customize if you want to. It is the typical Type 20 dual register layout, black dial, silver bezel. I believe it gets a 12-hour bezel, and that is it. Really good looking chronograph. These are 37 millimeters, so they are very true to the original. They're giving you a sapphire crystal. And like I was saying, this gets a peacock movement. Just to give you the number there, it is the SL4617. If I have a picture of that movement, I will throw that up so you could see what it looks like. They're also making a limited edition that is using a plain wing as the dial. That is $515. It almost looks like a little bit like meteorite. It's a really beautiful dial. I had one of these hands-on for just like a minute a few months ago. Very good looking watch. Really worth the $515. So like I said in the beginning of this video, there are some watches that are a miss for me that came out in the past few weeks. I'm going to start with Movado. There were a lot of articles which I was really confused by about these new square watches that they came out with. It was covered on Hodinkee and a few other major websites. A lot of Instagrammers were talking about them, and it makes me believe that there was some sort of push by Movado to get these watches in front of people. I'm not sure how or why. And the one thing that I don't get the most, especially for someplace like Hodinkee, who never promote large watches, is the fact that this is a tank watch that measures in over 45 millimeters. It is powered by a Sellita SW200. It looks like a Santos. Now, they have reissued this watch. So this is a reissue of one of their vintage watches, but I don't like these watches. They look like a Santos and a Cubitus had a baby, and that baby turned out to be pretty ugly. You're getting a 12/9, 3 and 6 dial. They are sunburst. They make a quartz version, which is smaller, but like I said, that larger version is over 45 millimeters large. It is enormous, and a tank watch usually wears a lot bigger, and they are charging $1,795 for this watch. 45.2 millimeters to be exact. Very large, weird, and I have no idea why it got so much coverage. The next watch on this list is a watch that I really like. It's the Ikepod Hemipod. They have reissued a few different versions of the Hemipod, and I absolutely love the Hemipod. I've come so close to purchasing a vintage version so many times, but there is one major, well really two major flaws with these watches, these reissue watches. Number one, the price. The price on these are pretty absurd. They aren't designed with Mark Newson because Mark Newson is no longer with Ikepod, and they are starting at $6,500. You're getting a value $7,750 inside, and that is it. They do solve one problem that the old versions had. When you had to service those watches, you had to break the stem. Because there was no way of opening up the case from the back, you had to open it from the front, so they would actually have to break the stem every time you serviced it, and obviously that is not ideal. So they did make a little hatch in the back so that you could press that little button that allows you to pull out the crown, and that is it. So that is one big improvement, and also these are now in titanium, but I don't think it warrants a almost $7,000 price tag. It doesn't make any sense. These are still 44 millimeters. They're in that pebble shape, but it's the vintage versions that still exist. That is really the biggest problem to these watches. The vintage versions still exist. They are powered by basically the same movement, and they are available on eBay ranging in price from around $2,000 for rough versions to around $4,000 or $5,000 for really nice versions. So why would you spend extra money on something that currently exists? You could have the original version. Why would you buy the reissue? It doesn't make any sense to me. Go for the original. The next watch on this list I found to be almost, I want to use the word hideous. This is Louis Erard. They made a new regulator in collaboration with Konstantin Chaikin. Chaikin makes some pretty wild watches. I don't like all of his watches. Some of his watches I love. Most of them, I find them pretty gimmicky. I know a lot of people will get mad at me for saying that, but they are a little cartoonish and they are very, very expensive. These are really expensive for what you are getting and how they look. $5,621. Maybe not all that expensive, but they are pretty expensive. You're just getting a base ETA movement inside. It's a regulator. They're limited to 178 pieces. It's the inspiration behind these that I just can't get behind. They are called the Unforgettable, and honestly, I'd like to forget them. These are based on the Princess and the Frog, and essentially the dial is a frog's face. There's green and purple. The eyes are the sub-registers, which tell you the hours and minutes. There are nostrils on the dial, and that is it. I actually like the case that they put these in, and I like the location of the crown. The crown is at the 12 o'clock position, so this is a unicorn crown. I really like that. I think these look great. The cases look great. The dials, in my opinion, are just so childish. I cannot get behind these. I just don't like them, especially for the price. Last but not least, and probably the watch that most people will get mad at me about down in the comments, Tudor released a new Ranger. It's in 36 millimeters. I really don't care. They put a beige dial on it. It's a sand dial, and people are going nuts over this watch, and I just don't understand. It's $3,700. It looks like a $500 micro brand watch. You have a solid case back. The bracelet is just a basic bracelet. It's nothing too crazy anymore. They used to have nice bracelets, but there are so many other brands out there with much nicer bracelets at this point. Tudor are a great brand. I don't understand this specific Ranger and why people are going absolutely crazy about it. A lot of people are saying it's because they want a Polar Explorer. This is not a Rolex. It is a Tudor. It's a beige Tudor. And I just don't get it. Maybe I'm crazy, but for $3,700, this seems like an absurd watch. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I know a lot of people will disagree with the fact that I don't like that Tudor, but that is my opinion. I am not saying that you shouldn't like it. I'm just saying that I personally don't like it. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. What do you think about the watches that I liked? What do you think about the watches that I didn't like? Tell me what you think of those watches down in the comment section. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.